morning and welcome to Guerilla Sports Daily with Liv Moods. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, yes. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys had a wonderful 4th of July week last week. We're back in the studio. We're ready to talk all things sports. And today at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, I will be going live to discuss all things Denver Nuggets, and this time with some inside information because I am heading to practice today, their summer league practice, to try to get some interviews, talk to the players, talk to the coaches, figure out how they're feeling ahead of summer league in Vegas. So we will be back again later today, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, to talk all things Denver Nuggets. But for now, we have a few things to discuss. The first, we're actually going to start with some football. You guys know I like to enter these little Guerilla Sports Dailies with some football because football is right around the corner. As much as I love the NBA and love basketball, football is near, and before we know it, we're going to be having conversations about what are the Denver Broncos, who is winning the Super Bowl, is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback ever to do it? We will be starting to have all of those conversations. So let's jump into a conversation that is kind of right now centered around Joe Burrow, but not for any particular reason other than he was asked about the potential of an 18-game season in the NFL when he joined the Pardon My Take podcast. And there's a lot of mixed feelings about this. Obviously, we know one of the major concerns, I guess, with athletes across the board, doesn't matter what league they're playing in, is their rest and how much their bodies are being put through and the rest that they need throughout the season. So when asked about the 18-game NFL schedule that I will say has been talked about, we know that Goodell loves money. We know the NFL loves money. All sports love money, but especially the NFL. An 18-game NFL schedule may be closer than we think. These are conversations that are being had. And when Joe Burrow was asked about this 18-game NFL schedule, his perfect pitch, if you will, is 2 bye weeks, one of which would be a league-wide bye week, week 13, where the Pro Bowl will happen. Now, some people are saying, well, if you give these athletes 2 bye weeks and one of them is taken up by the Pro Bowl, not sure they're going to be happy about that. I know that these athletes probably want to use their bye weeks for just that, rest, no playing, no nothing. And we know that these Pro Bowls, oftentimes, I don't think most fans enjoy them. I certainly don't pay attention to the Pro Bowl as much as I do the Super Bowl or the regular season. So if we're trying to give these players more rest, we're trying to let them rest their bodies, which is what bye weeks are typically intended for, I'm not sure the Pro Bowl falling on a bye week would make most players happy. Now, Joe Burrow, being a top 5 quarterback in this league, whether you like it or not, having this stance obviously may cause a little bit of controversy. There already have been comments across my Twitter feed saying, why is he being the spokesperson for this? Well, first of all, he was asked the question and he answered it. If there were to be an 18-game season, here's what it should look like. 2 bye weeks, and then week 13, you get more people involved, you get more people excited. It's a bye week, you've got the Pro Bowl. I do think that the NFL needs to invest more in the Pro Bowl to make it a little bit more interesting. We know that with the NBA, the All-Star break is, one, very important for the players that want to rest their bodies, but 2, it generates a lot of money. A lot of people get excited about the skills competitions and seeing all the different All-Stars on a team. That the NBA has done an excellent job of making the All-Star week a very profitable one. I don't think the Pro Bowl is there yet. It could get there. Again, making it fall on a bye week, you may get more people involved, you may get more people excited, but you also may have the group of players that say, I don't want to play during my bye week, I want to rest my body. However, that week 13 bye week would give players the opportunity in the last 16 games of their season to rest, to get healthy, to, rehab their bodies, whatever they need for that final stretch of the season. So not a horrible idea. The suggestion made by Joe Burrow is a little polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it. At the end of the day, I think what we know is that at some point we will probably see an 18-game NFL season because who doesn't love football, more of it, and who doesn't love money? Goodell loves money, the NFL loves money, so why not extend the season? I have a hot take. We want to rest the players' bodies. Get rid of Thursday night football. I hate it. I hate Thursday night football. I'm sorry, Amazon, you are my greatest cherished joy. I love you. You've been at my house more times than I can count. I've given you way too much of my money. But ever since Amazon touched Thursday Night Football was bad beforehand anyway. But ever since Amazon got a hold of Thursday Night Football, they are the worst games of the whole season. Every Thursday night football game sucks. I don't care who's playing. I don't care how hyped we try to make it. They suck. I would love to do away with Thursday night football. If we're trying to rest these players' bodies, that's fine. Make it a longer season, have more weeks in the NFL, that's fine. But get rid of Thursday night football. I hate it. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So that would be my one hot take here is TNF, you're gone. How many preseason games? 2? I am not sure about that, but I also am not a huge fan of the preseason. If you guys have watched the preseason in the NFL, it's basically practices that we're able to tune into and watch, which I guess is not necessarily a horrible thing, especially for the players that aren't going to get a ton of playing time in the regular season. Maybe you've got rookie quarterbacks. Maybe you've got, like the Broncos, 3 quarterbacks, and you're trying to figure out who to go with. The preseason is a good opportunity to figure those things out, kind of iron some things out before the season starts, but ultimately, nobody cares about the preseason. And as a gambler, a sports bettor, I will tell you, do not waste your money on preseason games. Don't do it. Stay away. So, not sure what the preseason would look like with an 18-game season. I've never been a huge fan of the preseason at all. It's not something I really tune into. Last year, obviously, with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, there was some conversations about Sean Payton starting Russell in some of those games. We got to see that a little bit. So I was tuning in for that reason and that reason only. However, it didn't do them much good. It didn't help make them better. They didn't really iron anything out before the season started. So I don't like preseason games. I don't think they're necessary. If we extend the seasons and make them longer, do away with preseason and do away with Thursday night football because it sucks. Moving on to the NBA. Team USA, a lot of talent within Team USA, but there is one player in particular that I have spent a lot of time talking about for obvious reasons. The Timberwolves. Obviously, as a Denver Nuggets fan with a Denver Nuggets podcast, I have spent many hours speaking on the Timberwolves this season. But Anthony Edwards specifically has a lot of buzz right now as he is playing and practicing for Team USA. Basically, he was asked a ton of questions, and I have given credit to Anthony Edwards for many things. And one of the things I have always respected the most about him and why I think he's such a crucial player in this younger generation in terms of keeping that like old school blended with new school vibe in the NBA. And what I mean by that is he's extraordinarily competitive. He works very hard. And he's got that suave. He's got that perfect combination of cocky and humble. When asked about who's your go-to guy, who do you ask for advice, or who is the, game is on the line, who are you looking at? And he says Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is my favorite player. That's who I go to for advice. He's our guy on this team. But then when asked about, hey, what's the rotation look like? Who's the most important? Who are you building? Who's Team USA building around? And in his brain, it's him. I'm not worried about who else we're building around. It should be me, is how he feels. And honestly, we could have many conversations about this roster and how great this roster is and the talent that is on this roster. But I do think what we get caught up in a lot in the NBA is the once upon a time superstars. I've talked about this before. Kevin Durant is an extraordinary player who is going to go down in history, already has, but will continue to go down in history as one of the best players in this league. But what have you done for me lately, right? We've seen him now, 2 teams over the past, 5-6 years, and not all that much success. So what have you done for me lately? Anthony Edwards is kind of that guy right now. Obviously, getting eliminated in the Western Conference Finals was not ideal for a guy like Anthony Edwards, but it happened, and he's still young, and he's still got that competitive nature to him. There was a video that was circulating from the Team USA gym, one of the practice gyms that they had. Anthony Edwards just casually draining 18 threes in a row. He was the last player to leave the gym. He's got a mentality that I just don't think you can teach. When I was a dance coach, I recently quit my job as a coach, as a high school dance team coach. One of the things I learned very quickly is that these younger generations are genuinely scared of hard work. And I don't want to generalize. There are obviously plenty of hard workers. All the kiddos on my team were phenomenal. They worked very hard. But there's this overarching theme with these younger generations that they just kind of have this entitlement that things are going to be handed to them. They don't like hard work. Most of them are lazy, which makes coaching very, very difficult. And so to have a guy like Anthony Edwards that, yes, has those moments of being overly confident, some may call it cocky if they're not a fan of him, but also, you know, he talks the talk, but he walks the walk. His talent proves, you know, that the work that he's putting in is paying off. He's a generational talent, in my opinion. But also more than that, he's got the mentality that I think is very hard to teach, right? I actually love that Anthony Edwards is so confident in who he is and what he brings. Yes, he's young on this roster. Yes, this is, you know, compared to some of the people on this team, he has not seen enough Team USA debuts to be able to speak the way that he does in some people's opinions. But I will say, he's a dog. He's got that mindset that can't be taught, and I definitely think that he is somebody that is going to be very valuable on Team USA. Now, is he the best player? I've seen conversations about that. Is he the best player on this roster? Is he better than Tatum? Is he better than KD? Is he better than LeBron? Is he better than AD? These are questions that I have for you, the viewers, the listeners, the watchers. Is Anthony Edwards, could you make a case for Anthony Edwards being the best, most talented player on the Team USA roster right now? It depends on what we're looking at, right? If we're looking at legacy in total, obviously, no. You've got LeBron, you've got KD, you've got Steph. But what have you done for me lately? Anthony Edwards is kind of a dog as of late. And yes, got eliminated in the playoffs. Obviously, that's not even up for discussion. This entire roster is talented. But Anthony Edwards, to me, has a mentality that, again, is hard to teach and kind of few and far between. It's kind of hard to find. It feels like a rarity. So is Anthony Edwards the best member of the Team USA roster? I would love to know from you guys how you feel about that. I don't know if he's the best. I love Ant, but not even close, LMAO. Do I think he could be? Do I think that if he had as many years as a Steph or a LeBron or an AD that he could be the best on this roster? Yes. Do I think he's currently the best on this roster? No. Do I still love his confidence? Yes. Hot take. I like it. I love it. I really do. And normally there's that fine line. It's how I feel too in like the dating world. You can't be insecure, but you can't be cocky. There is this very, very fine line between cocky, humble, you know, insecure. It's all very, very close. But there's no denying Anthony Edwards has that thing that makes players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James so great. He has it. He's just young. He's got time to establish himself as one of the GOATs in this league if he wants to. And I think that he will. Because I think, again, alongside his talent, he has something that I would argue is even tougher to teach than talent, which is mentality. I saw somebody on Twitter say, it's really tough to not compare this guy to an MJ or a Kobe based on the things that he says in interviews and the way that he speaks about himself and just the mental toughness and locked in nature that he constantly has, whether it be the playoffs, the regular season, or Team USA practice. He has a mentality that is just hard to teach. You just can't teach it. You can coach it, you can try to maneuver around it, you can try to make it work, but you can't teach it. And he's got it. He's got that thing. He's got that dog in him, and I have nothing but respect for Anthony Edwards. He also got like 4-ish years till his prime. So, and I agree. I think that if Anthony Edwards can continue to speak the way he does about himself, in such a confident way and be as locked in as he is now in 4 years, I don't even think Anthony Edwards is close to his prime right now. I don't think he's even close. So for him to be as great as he is and as confident as he is a wonderful thing. Is he the best player on the Team USA roster? I don't think so. because I don't think you can just look at, we get really lost in the stats in this day and age. You really can't look at just one thing. He's on a team with Steph Curry. He's on a team with LeBron James. He's on a team with Kevin Durant. Could he get to that level 4 years from now? Absolutely. He could probably get there in 2. But we have seen players have this peak and have this energy and this mentality. Dare I say, Ja Morant was one of those players that was constantly locked in and had that, he was exciting to watch, and he had that dog in him that just can't be taught, can't be duplicated. And then we kind of saw a little bit of a Ja Morant downfall. Now, he was injured. I'm very excited to see what he does in this upcoming season, not injured. But we kind of saw a little bit of a Ja Morant, where'd you go? MIA. We haven't talked about Ja Morant in quite some time. He got into some trouble. He got injured. So let's not get too excited. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Anthony Edwards is a phenomenal player, has a very, very high ceiling, and I think at some point he could be a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, a LeBron James in terms of being such a notable, one-of-a-kind, one-of-one player in this league. I think he's close. I don't know if he's there yet. Anthony Edwards is wrong. It's Steph Curry. I think the 2024 Olympic team can compete against the 2008. Okay. All right. I love it, though. I mean, I think that in order for this Team USA team to be able to compete, you need the youngest guy on your team to be as confident as Anthony Edwards. You need that. Because we know LeBron can be clutch. We know Steph Curry can be clutch. We know KD can be clutch, okay? We don't worry about those guys. It's hard when you grab superstars from different teams and try to put them on one team and make it work. So if you've got your youngest person as locked in as your veterans that have been here, done this for years and years and years, you're sitting in a pretty good spot. So I love his confidence. I love the way he speaks about himself. It is not a turnoff for me at all, the way that he views himself in terms of his skill and the fact that he believes he can hang with anybody in this league. I love that about him. I do. And I think that because he doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk, we see him producing the way that he speaks about himself. We get to watch it translate on national television and in successful seasons. We get to see that. So I'm excited for Team USA. I'm excited that one of their youngest guys is Anthony Edwards. Can't go wrong there. A lot of talent on this team. Interested to see how Team USA does this year. Speaking of the Olympics, we're going to close with a little shout out, if you will. Colorado is absolutely crushing it with their representation in the Olympics this year. And I'm going to list off all of the people that are being represented in the Olympics that are from none other than Colorado. If you guys didn't know, there is a training facility in Colorado Springs for the Olympics. Obviously, for obvious reasons, if you haven't ever thought about this, training in Colorado is a really great idea because we have this thing called altitude out here. And if you can be successful, if you can have great cardio strength, if you can run 5 miles in Colorado, you can run 5 miles just about anywhere else because altitude is no joke. I will never forget leaving Colorado to go to Texas. I went to TCU. I'm a former Horned Frog. I was on the dance team at TCU, and working out there is significantly easier than working out here. And every time I would come home for a Christmas break, I was like, what in the world? It's like you're breathing through a straw. It's very, very hard. So we do have a training facility out here, but nonetheless, we have exceptional representation from Colorado in the Olympics this year. So I want to read some of those names off. First, we have from cycling, we have Olivia Cummins from Fort Collins. Shout out Fort Collins, where Colorado State University resides. In golf, very notable name here, Wyndman Clark from Denver, representing Colorado in the golf category of the Olympics. And then soccer. I've had some very interesting conversations with one of our producers who is a massive, massive soccer fan. All 3 Coloradans that are being represented in the Olympics for soccer this year are women. Shout out women. I had a conversation with our producer about the difference in women's soccer versus men's soccer. In a lot of different sports, we see the men's sport, when there is a sport that can be divided by gender, you've got the women's team, you've got the men's team. We often see the media caring more about the men driving more revenue, more fans paying attention to the men's teams, but not with soccer. And I had this conversation with our producer. I said, to be honest with you, I've watched women's soccer, Team USA women's soccer, a lot. I have not watched the men. He's talking about on a global level, the men's USA team does not represent well at all. And then we got on the conversation of the Colorado Rapids. Not a very great soccer team out here. So we've got an MLS that is not really feeding well into the men's US national team. They're not feeding well. It's not translating. It would be like if the G League stopped working for the NBA. The point of the MLS is to feed to a global level. We don't really have that with the men's soccer team. I don't want to call it unsuccessful, but right now it's not working. It's not translating on the global level, this men's team. But the women, however, absolutely are. All three are women that are being represented from Colorado. We've got Mallory Swanson from Littleton, Lindsay Horan, who is actually a team captain from Golden, and Sophia Smith from Windsor. Incredible. Shout out women's soccer, constantly representing and also being very successful, something that the men's team actually can't say on a global level that they are able to do. So shout out to the women's team and shout out to the three Coloradans that are representing, one of which is a captain. We love to see it. We also have sport climbing, which is a very interesting one. We've got Colin Duffy from Broomfield. We've got Natalia Grossman from Boulder, who is actually originally from California, but says she is very much a Coloradan, so we will claim her. Shout out to Natalia. And then Brooke Rabitou from Boulder, who was the first American to qualify for rock climbing. Badass, badass. I love it. In swimming, we've got Emma Weber from Denver. And then track and field. We are absolutely crushing in track and field. Woody Kincaid from Littleton, Elise Craney from Niwot, Valerie Constein from Edwards, and Anna Hall from Denver. Shout out to Anna Hall. I actually graduated from high school in the same class as her older sister, Julia, who is actually now married to and having their first child with a player from the Commanders. Okay, love it. We love when all the sports are crossing over. Anna Hall is my brother's age, actually, and has always been, this is probably one of the most athletic families I think I've ever seen. Every Hall member of this family is insanely athletic, so it is very cool to me when I get to see Anna Hall on TV. I knew her when she was younger. I was at the same school as her older sister, so really love seeing people that I know so successful. She's in the Minions commercial for the Olympics, so look her up. She's fantastic, and her story is actually pretty incredible because last year she had, actually back in January, I believe she had a knee surgery, and then just this past month was qualifying for the Olympics. Last year, was it last year or last time she was trying to qualify for the Olympics? I'm not sure, but she was doing hurdles and she fell, and it was like this big media moment where people were like, I mean, you know, she's obviously laying there, she's very emotional, and so to see her now post knee surgery just back in January and now qualifying for the Olympics, and it's somebody that I know is very, very cool to watch. Very excited for her. So shout out to our track and field members. And then finally, in wrestling, we've got Spencer Lee from Denver. So Colorado is representing, I just listed off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Coloradans are being represented in the Olympics this year. We love to see it. Shout out Colorado. Shout out Colorado, and shout out to all of these athletes who are going to be representing the USA in the Olympics very, very soon. Super excited to see what they do. And that's all for me, you guys. That's all for me today. We've got a little bit of conversations about Joe Burrow and the potential 18-game NFL season. What would that look like? What is the solution there? Now we've got Anthony Edwards. Is he the best member on the Team USA roster? I'll let you decide. I've already given my opinion on that. And finally, Colorado representing in the Olympics this year is oh so sweet. Best of luck to these athletes. Congratulations to these athletes, and very excited to see what they do on the global level. That is all from me today. This has been another Guerilla Sports Daily with Liv Moods. I will actually be back again tomorrow. Jesse will be taking over Thursday, Friday this week as I am leaving town for a bachelorette. Oh yes, turn up. But I will be here. We will also be back in the studio today, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, to talk Denver Nuggets basketball. I'm going to head over to practice, their summer league practice, try to get a little inside scoop, and then I will bring that back to you at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and we will be having some conversations about all things Denver Nuggets. Thank you for being here. I appreciate and love you all, and we will see you soon. Bye.